Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. We're going to begin tonight with a sweeping new federal investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department. Less than 24 hours after a jury found one of the city's former officers, Derek Chauvin, guilty of murdering George Floyd. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland now says he's ordering a review of the entire police department to see if there is a larger pattern of excessive force and discrimination by officers. Meantime, tonight, Chauvin, seen here in a new mugshot, is awaiting sentencing at a Minnesota state prison. Corrections officials say the 45-year-old is being kept alone to protect him from other inmates. And in a sign of how dramatically his case has changed the conversation on policing in America, tonight the interim chief in Columbus, Ohio, is releasing body camera video of an officer-involved shooting there. Police shot and killed Micaiah Bryant about 30 minutes before the Chauvin verdict Tuesday, after the 16-year-old appeared to charge another woman with a knife. We'll have more on that in just a moment. But CBS's Jeff Pegues is going to lead off our coverage tonight in Minneapolis with that new Justice Department probe. Good evening, Jeff.
Norah, federal civil rights investigators are already on the ground here in Minneapolis, and this may be where they start their investigation. It is the former 3rd Precinct here in Minneapolis, where Derek Chauvin once worked. At the height of the protest last year, vandals tried to burn it to the ground. In his first major announcement, Attorney General Merrick Garland opened an investigation that will have the Minneapolis Police Department under a federal microscope.
The Justice Department has opened a civil investigation to determine whether the Minneapolis Police Department engages in a pattern or practice of unconstitutional or unlawful policing.
The investigation will review the department's policies, training, command structure, and use of force investigations. The federal probe stems from the death of George Floyd last May, which exposed, among other things, allegations of misconduct within the city's 3rd Precinct. It was a target for vandals who set out to burn it to the ground during the unrest after Floyd's death. Last year, in an interview, the police chief acknowledged that the precinct had a reputation.
What kind of reputation does the 3rd Precinct have?
I've heard that the 3rd Precinct has an attitude. I've heard that from even other officers, but I've heard about other precincts having their own different personalities.
Nationwide, there are calls for reform as well as new ideas.
I think it's time for us to have a commission to take a deep dive, deep look, evidence-based approach to how will we imagine policing.
Are you calling for President Biden to reconsider his decision not to have another commission?
Absolutely.
So far, the Biden administration has backed the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act in Congress, which bans chokeholds, no-knock warrants in drug cases, and makes it easier to file a lawsuit against a police officer. The legislation passed the House, but it stalled in the Senate. With every new video that goes viral, the discussion over the future of policing gets more heated and more complicated. Norah, this federal investigation could take up to a year or longer to complete. Now, if it finds anything, the Justice Department could go to federal court to force the department here to change. Norah.
All right, Jeff Pegues with that big news. Thank you.